Hi YouTube. I'm gonna make this pretty quick because the last couple days my internet has been really slow, buffering like everything all over. It doesn't matter what Facebook or videos or uploading. Uploading a video has been taking like 4 and 5 hours. That's crazy. So anyway, I'm going to make this short mainly because of that reason and because it's snowing out. It's 24 degrees and a lot of time with overcasts it gets even harder to, even if the satellite might not even work at all for this. So I'll just have to play it by ear. But I also want to tell you that I am like super disappointed in not just the people in the world, like mainly like world leaders, but scientists. And science is such a flippin' joke. I don't know. To me, there is no science without God, and to understand His science is a spiritual thing, and we get gifts in those areas. And there are those types of investigative scientists, because every scientific mind should be like a cop. You want to get down to the bottom of every detail, no matter how minute. It doesn't matter if it's like a one-letter word like A or I, or like where did it originate, what cultures use this, and when the etymology, what time in our history was this used, and where did it migrate to, and where did it migrate from. And I mean, it doesn't matter what detail, whether it's in language or microorganisms or whatever the case may be. A scientific mind would never stand still with only one item in their repertoire. We would have like a plethora of knowledge behind us. We wouldn't just like stagnant, like just sit still and feel satisfied with one of God's subjects as like a partial science. What good is a part going to do you? It'd be like baking an apple pie with only part of the ingredients, It would not be an apple pie. And that's what the science of God is. It's the whole thing. It's not bits and pieces here. Yeah, you got to pull it apart and dissect it little by little, bit by bit, word for word, letter for letter. But, yeah, most people aren't going to go that deep on any subject that they say they are interested in or affiliated with. That's just my outlook on the whole thing, So. You would be surprised. And that's why, really, the machinery of a car is very, very unique, and from the way it is designed, it shouldn't even be able to work. But it does. And nobody can, well, I can explain it to you. But that goes into how many people that say like they're men of God or people of God or even Christ themselves. If there was something wrong in my car, would you be able to tell me how to fix that? Could you fix it? I can, but I'm asking you, you know? Wouldn't a mastermind, a flippin' genius, a man of science, a man of God have that inner knowledge instinctively? You'd think so. Of course, I studied on stuff, But, it's just like microbiology. When you go and learn what, like, different microorganisms are, like a nematode or toad, rather, or a diamytros, I think is how you say it. They look like a fluke. They're kind of cylinder shaped. And go and study that and then understand, a little more about biology and the physics of human biology. And then going along with that and going back to mechanics and going back, then enters the electronics of the whole thing, would be like your ignition in your car, getting the spark from the head, that indicator. Well, anyway, and I can tell you how it's powered from the crank all the way up through the pistons into the head. I could explain all that to you too, and how the gears work. But if you think of the human body like that, and there's so many components of everything that makes everything, how could one scientist or one field of study of science say that because it is so complex, not even a computer could put that together, how it works in combination with our souls? There's not a human expression for everything that we are, is the remarkable thing about it. But you can get this, you can't, like, the whole thing, you can't quite just grasp it, but you can feel that God's trying to give you the whole thing in increments for your understanding. And the older I get, I feel like I'm almost able to have a conversation with our Father in a really deep, his building block way. Like, for my understanding, he put us in this flesh for that understanding, his expressions of himself, So anyway, my disappointment in science and men of God and the different things that are going on, it's really deep today, and I've had like somewhat of a cold, and so I'm not really feeling the greatest, so my heart's sad too. So I did reach out to somebody asking if they have any ideas and different concerns that I had, because I'm really trying to help people that are struggling, or maybe they're not struggling, but they're sure making excuses for their poor behavior, So that's all I can say. Yeah, we're to walk like Christ walked, and unless we were Christ himself, I guess the only thing we can go by is the Spirit and what the Spirit guides us to say and do, and hope that that's God's will. Well, if it's coming from your heart and you're coming from an honest, authentic place, probably what you say and do is the mind and heart of God. And people would say, well, how could you conceive that or perceive that? Well, I'm telling you, it's absolutely possible. But you would have to have an open enough mind to understand that your mind isn't going to break if you stretch it. It'll only keep getting bigger. Do you have a problem with that? I don't understand people. You're not going to break if you learn something new. It's just an addition to your arsenal, you know? Learn something new. What's the big deal? always learn something new. Why not? Right? It's like I learned, I do believe it's a Hebrew word, if I'm misquoting this or mistaking this, shoshamin. I think that's how, and it means like dancing bunny or happy bunny, or like they dance or something. I could be wrong, but I think, but to even pick up another language, or no, I studied Hebrew from a very young age, along with Latin, and took Spanish for 2 years, and taught myself some German, and I struggle with French, but I love it. But I don't know why. It just doesn't get, and I have some French heritage in me. French Canadian probably, but like mixed with Dutch and Danish and, well, anyway, and Scotch and Irish, and I represent everybody in here. It's just weird, but I really do. I can be traced back everywhere. It blew my mind when I was going through all the different nationalities of me. It's like, wow, that's a flippin' trip right there. It's a trip. Yeah. Even some Asian roots, it's like, wow, that's wild, you know? Crazy. Uh, but anyway, yeah. So I have some big disappointments going on. I had another person reach out to me and say that they were going to help me. Now this could be out of love, and I understand, like, what was it, with language or speech? I'm not going to quote it exactly. I don't need to do that. But the thing is, this was after a few things that made me feel slighted, and I wrote back because this person is pretty egotistical and knows a lot in their life, but doesn't understand that I know a whole lot more. Just won't acknowledge it, refuses. So, on teaching me language, that's probably not going to happen because I'm a master in a lot of ways. And there's parts of my heart that God will touch that makes me dig even deeper on language than a lot of people would. And the backing to be able to prove and provide evidence through words where things have been twisted. That's my specialty. Now, if it's my speaking style, I don't want to be anybody else. If I get a little uppity because I'm pissed, oh well, it freaking happened. That's me. And I don't want to be a little wallflower and quiet and gentle and not have my foul mouth when I get pissed and feel like slap out of somebody. That's just not me. It's like I listen to some channels of people that have been incarcerated in prison, and their language isn't always the most gentle thing in the world. But when I know somebody has love in their heart, I don't care what they sound like. I know the Spirit when I feel the Spirit, and then I will stand behind these people that have been hurt and understand where they're coming from and I understand their language, and that's what I was made for in that respect. So I'm not going to change my style, my speaking style. I'm not meant to be out, not this at this stage in my life, at speaking events in convention centers, speaking to a bunch of stuffed suits. I'm talking to everybody out there, and especially the injured ones that are going to flip you off and tell you where to go. You know, those are the people I'm talking to. I'm not talking to the people that are dressed up in their Sunday bests or Sabbath and, going into their churches, synagogues, temples, whatever. I'm not really trying to, unless you're a rabbi. I got a couple jokes for you on that from Doug. Kind of a joke. So anyway, I'm not trying to reach those type of people unless they are teachers and they can gather a little bit of my style to reach the type of people that I'm talking about. Those are, and then they would see the God in my heart and gather what they need from that and move in that respect, in that area for people. And that's what I'm doing and why. So I'm not going to make any excuses in that respect. I don't ever make excuses for myself. That's, forget it. I go before God and say, hey, yeah, I did screw up and I'll fix this, period. No excuses, nothing after that. Just the way it is. And I need help with this, if that's the case. If you're like a repeat offender. So sometimes we don't need help with something that's not who we are, and sometimes but what we do and say in front of other people to have a certain amount of humility, that's our dignity right there. And yeah, we still have it regardless of our mouths, responding to other people's abusive ways and stupid ways and whatever. Ignorant, I should call it. Stupefied, it's like hypnotized and stupefied and really not knowing. But if they do, it's for their own benefit with their excuses, So anyway, back to Doug's joke we were talking about. Doug doesn't like yarmulkes on Hebrew guys, I asked him if and I'll get back to that, but do you know, like Spanky in our gang, there was Spanky used to wear a little beanie and it had one of them whirly twirly things on top. I wondered if that was some kind of something weird with the same type of headwear in that little kid show or like a family show, Little Rascals. But it was just weird. But anyway, so I told Doug that this one rabbi I watched grew up in Brooklyn. He would look good with a fedora because that would like kind of show his like badass side and Doug goes, yeah, with sunglasses. Yes, exactly. So just that part of his personality, only with his hat, is the only little bit he has in him like that, like a gangster, that would be badass. Doug goes, yeah, he should have like a cowboy hat, camouflage, because Doug's got one of them, and nah, this rabbi'd look good in a fedora, for real. I'm serious. Be a good hat for his face, So anyway. So I'm going to get this uploaded. Yeah, like I said, I did reach out to a Christian channel, and I know they're family people, and they might, if anything, be able to at least pray for my heart, because it's freaking suffering. I'm really sick of people using the excuse that it doesn't matter. If we're walking like Christ, this is, he walked with the will of God, and just like my spirit is not like other women, and sometimes you can't compare yourself, even though you love God and you say you're walking in Christ's footsteps. What Christ might have done as a teenager is probably a whole lot different than what they would do or he would do as a adult, and excuses just don't cut it. And when you make excuses for poor behavior in front of many people, you just doubled your sin. At least what you think is not a sin because you think Christ did something is your biggest mistake, and you're leading other people astray with that. That multiplies what wasn't a sin, what was a personal problem, now just became a multitude of sins because you expressed your excuses in the flesh for what a soul should be doing and saying, walking after Christ with the will of God, with the will of our Father. So, God bless y'all. Have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.